All right, we are going to take a look at my brush collection, and I'm hoping to do a bit of a declutter. Now, I haven't counted the brushes yet, so I'm not entirely sure what we're working with as like a starting point, but what I can say is that it's become a bit overwhelming, and there are certainly brushes that just don't get any use, so there's no point holding on to them. I just washed the vast majority of these last night, so I have a good idea of what was left in the holder. That even though most of my other brushes were already dirty, I still hadn't gotten around to using, so that tells me something. But just so that you can see how it is that I normally organize them for myself, they're not normally in this bucket. This was just to carry them into our laundry room so that I could wash them more easily. This is what I normally house them in. So I got this at, I think it was Winners or Marshalls, one of those stores. They're basically the same in my mind. Just 4 large containers, and then I went to the dollar store, picked up a bag of rice, and that's what I use to hold my brushes upright, because otherwise they're just all flopping around with each other. So that is how I like to organize them, and then I just set them off to the side of my desk so that as I need brushes, they're all just sitting there. And I usually have like my eye brushes here and then face brushes over here. But I'm finding that right now things are just getting all clumped together. So especially with face brushes, because they're bigger, I'm not able to really see what I have at a glance, and it's kind of a pain. So therefore, we're going to go through this process. So I'm just going to sit this in front. No, you can't see it, and it's not really creating a shadow, so that's good. How do I tackle this? Well, I put them in here, eye brushes on the bottom, face brushes on the top. So why don't we just do it that way? We'll start with the face brushes, and then we'll go on from there. And what I intend to do throughout this is just sort of give you an idea of which brands in particular I really like, which brushes get the most use from me, which ones not so much, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, so that I think is all the face brushes. If there's more, we'll come across them, and that's fine. And then I've just brought out this little plastic holder here, so any brushes that I do decide to part ways with, I'll just stick in here so that I don't get myself confused. There. I'll zoom it in a little bit so you can better see. I'm going to put the brushes off to the side. I've brought in a different background, so hopefully you're able to see the details of the brush. But this is the newest brush that I've picked up. This one's from Rare Beauty, and it is their foundation brush. And I've only used it once. It actually comes like a split dye kind of thing on the bristles, so this isn't just dirt. This is just how it's designed. And I really like the denseness of it. Like I said, I've only used it once, so I can't really give a thorough review of it. I don't know how it holds up to washing. I don't know the longevity of it, whether these bristles are just going to fall out after the first wash. Time will tell. If that happens, trust me, I will let you know, because that will piss me off to no end. But at any rate, I really like this on initial use. I like how soft it is. I like the size of it as well. It's small enough and tapered on the one end that I can get into like the little crevices of my face. But so far, so good with this one. I can't tell you with my brushes like what is natural hair, what's synthetic, what's a blend. There's no way that I can remember that for all of these brushes. So I'm not going to give you that detail. So suffice it to say, I'll give you the information that I have, but I'm just not going to look up information on every single one of these brushes. I'm just not. I'm sorry. Anyways, okay, moving on from there, I see a couple powder brushes that I do get frequent use out of. This one is from It Cosmetics. It's the Wand Ball Powder Brush, the number 8. This one is from BH, and it's part of their Birthstone brush set. And then this one over here is from BK Beauty, and this is the 104. Now, I really do like all 3, and you can see they're all quite similar in terms of their shape, in terms of their size. The handles are significantly different, with the BH being much larger than the other 2, but I don't have any thoughts on that. Like, that doesn't bother me. It's not like this is particularly heavy. I am going to keep all 3. You know what, I'm going to set the BH one aside. It is the least favorite of the 3. And I tend to get a lot of use out of my face brushes before washing them because, like, especially my powder brushes, that's what I'm talking about. I get the most use out of my powder brushes because they're not really going into like a wet product per se. So I'm going to set this one aside as a maybe for now, and I'll circle back to it. But these ones are going to go in the holder. Okay, and then I can see a couple foundation brushes. This one is from Sephora. It's the number 88, and it is the slanted buffing brush. And then this one here is the F80 flat top kabuki from Sigma. And this one is pretty much an OG in terms of brushes. I feel like this one and the E40 have been around forever. This one, there are some bristles starting to shed, I guess, but it's not bad yet. I've had it for quite some time, so I'm really not surprised by that or upset about it. But I really like this brush for blending in foundation, and it's also really good for powder foundation. This one is very, very dense. Like, there's really not much in the way of flexibility in there at all. This one was particularly good when I had the Dior Air Flash. I could just spray it on top of there and the foundation doesn't like sink into the bristles. So I do really like this one. I think they've changed this brush, unfortunately, at Sephora, but I'm going to keep both of these for now because they do get a lot of use. Then I have these two foundation brushes. This one is from Delium Tools, and it is one of their golden triangle brushes, the 988 BDHD Phase 1. And again, just a giant brush, this one. This could almost double as a powder brush, to be honest, because it is so big. And then this one over here is from BK Beauty, and this is the 101. It looks dirty, but I washed it last night. I can still feel that it's a little bit damp. I guess I didn't do a great job washing it. But I really like the shape of this one. I can see some of the bristles are starting to come out on this one as well. Yeah, this one's starting to shed fairly significantly. Like, chunks aren't coming out, but even if I just run my thumb up the bristles, I can feel some of them coming out. I've had this one for, I want to say about a year and a half at this point. So I've gotten really good use out of it, but I just wanted to make that note that some of the bristles are starting to flake off. Very different in terms of their density. This one is way fluffier than this one, but I really like this one for liquid foundations. And this one I really like to use, like, I'll go in with, say, this one here from Sephora, but then I'll use this one to perfect as well. There's another one that I do that with quite frequently. This guy here, which is also from Sephora. This is the number 64. This might be the one that they changed. I can't remember. Anyways, this one's like a, oh, what are they called? Like a duo fiber, I guess, is what it's called. And I don't like this for applying foundation on its own, but I really like using it for blending foundation after I've applied it with one of the other brushes. So I definitely want to keep this one because it just makes my base look about as flawless as I can get it. This big beast, I'm going to set this one aside as a maybe as well. I like how fluffy it is. I like how easily it blends things, but it is giant. So getting it around my nose and into any little creases on my face, it can be a little bit of overkill. So I'm going to set this one aside and we'll circle back at the end. These two I use as concealer brushes. This one again is from Delium Tools and it's the 949. And this one is from Nude by Nature. And they have black lettering on a dark ferrule. So I have absolutely no idea. It is the number 12 Pointed Precision Brush. So I got mine at Shoppers Drug Mart. I'm pretty sure that Nude by Nature is an Australian brand, so they probably have their own website, at least for Aussie purchasers, but I got mine at Shoppers Drug Mart. I love doing these, like using these kind of pointed brushes for concealer. I have got fairly deep set eyes, and so this can get right into that inner corner. I like that it's nice and precise. I like that they're nice and dense. They just blend the foundation or the concealer out so nicely. So I definitely want to keep both of these. These are also go-tos for me for concealer. So like the flat, I think they're technically foundation brushes, but I like to use them under my eyes. So this one here is from Sigma. This is the F60. This one is a must-have foundation brush number 10. Sephora. Black lettering on a black ferrule. Why? Why would you do that? That's a terrible choice. Anyways, this one is also part of that Birthstone brush set from BH. I don't like this one as much. And this one was not dirty when I washed my brushes last night. And I would say easily 90% of my brushes had been used at that point. And this wasn't one of them. So that tells me something. It's not dense enough. Like these ones are much stiffer, especially this Sigma one. It really just helps to blend out concealer. But this one is just not fantastic, and it's also wider than these ones in terms of precision, so I'm going to let this one go. These are 3 that I tend to rotate through for bronzer. So this one came from Beautylish, and it's part of their 420 set. This one is from Lime Crime, and I think it was like a gift with purchase. It's got like the little glitters in it. Aspen stole all the other ones of this set from me. And then this one is from Marc Jacobs, and it's the Face number 1 brush. And of the 3, like I like the slanted cut on this one, but I typically reach for these ones. I don't really know why, but I do. This one just kept getting pushed to the back, and this was, again, another one that I hadn't used. I didn't need to wash it last night. So I'm going to give this one to my daughter because glitter, and she'll love that. I'm just going to set that one aside, but I am going to keep these 2 because I just find that they're great for bronzer. Like they're soft enough to blend, but dense enough to pick up the product and really lay it down. I'm going to quickly talk about these 2 little brushes here. So this one I'm pretty sure is from Juno & Co., but there's no identifier on the brush whatsoever, but I'm pretty sure that's where I got it from. And then this one is from Dior, and I can't remember what the name of it is, and again, it's not written on there, so it's the one that looks like this. I love this brush for finishing powder, and that is what I use it exclusively for, and I use this brush exclusively for applying primer. So I use these brushes basically every single day, and I am not parting ways with them. Let's talk about these 2. So these are 2 highlighting brushes that I use. This one is from Sigma. It's the F06 Powder Sweep brush. And this one is from Wet n Wild, and it is the P75. And I actually really like both of these brushes. This one's nice and fluffy. This one's a bit more dense, but it still blends things out really nicely. So I use both of these all the time. I don't think I need to get rid of either of them. And then I have these 2 highlighting brushes as well. So this one is from Juno & Co. It's the ES13. And then this one here is from Smashbox, and it is the Precise Highlighting. And so you can see they're very similar in terms of the overall idea of them. Just one is obviously bigger. This one I like to use on highlighters like this guy here from Stila, like the Heaven's Hue highlighters, or the Super Shock Cheek, whatever they are from ColourPop. Just things that are a little bit, like this is like a little, how do you describe this? It's not a gel, it's not a powder, it's not wet, but it's clearly very pliable. I don't know what that is. I don't know what's going on here, but I like this because it picks up the product really nicely, whereas a fluffier brush like the one from Wet n Wild just kind of runs across and doesn't pick it up. So I like to have this for that kind of texture of highlighter. And then what I use this one for is liquid highlighter. And I like that it's like slanted, so it just gets right on the cheekbones really nicely, but it's still like fluffy enough that it can blend those liquids out. So again, I'm not getting rid of either of these brushes. I got these 2 that I often, oh, there's another one too. Where's the other one? Here it is. These guys I use to set my under eye powder. So this one here is from Delium Tools, and it's bizarre. It's really weird. It's got 2 different tiers to it. and it is the Double Dome Blender, the number 792. This is another Delium Tools one. This is the 788, and I love this one. I love this one. Got that little like slant to it, but it's nice and precise, fits under my eyes perfectly. Absolutely not getting rid of that. This guy I have had forever. Forever. This is from Real Techniques, and it is the setting brush. These are workhorses. Like, I have washed it countless times. I don't think it's ever shed a single bristle. It's still like all really well glued in there. It's still soft. The bristles aren't like brittle or anything of that sort. So I'm going to keep holding on to this. But like, if you're in the market for an under eye setting brush, here it is. It's like $8 and it's going to last you for the rest of days. So love that one. This one, I just think it's too weird. I just don't really know what the purpose of it is. Like, I think it's meant to like blend eyeshadow in a, but like, how the fuck are you, how? I can't like pick up just one color on here and one color on here and then like run it along in the transition, because how would you do that? And it's just, I don't know. I've tried using it to set powder under my eyes. It works for that, but like most times I'm just going to reach for this one or the Real Techniques. So this one, I don't need it. So here are the blush brushes that we are working with. And no, I can't say those two words together any other way than saying blush brush, because otherwise I just say brush brush. But anyways, here's what we're working with. Okay, this is from Chic. It's the blush brush from Chic. And I'm guessing it was like an Ipsy thing years ago, because I've never heard of that brand and I don't recall ever buying that. This one is the number 5 from Refer. This one is from Luxie, the number 514. Again, from BH Cosmetics. This one is from Cleona Cosmetics. It doesn't have a brush number on it, but it's just basically a slanted cheek brush. This one is from It Cosmetics, and it's the number 4 French Boutique Blush Brush. And then this guy over here is also from the BH set. So this one I'm going to get rid of because I don't know who in the hell it is. It's like very discolored down at the bottom here. And it's honestly just not my favorite of these blush brushes anyways. It's a little like flimsy in my opinion, and I don't tend to reach for it, so away it goes. This one from Cleona I am most definitely keeping. It's nice and densely packed in here, and what I really love using this brush for is cream cheek products. It just blends things out so nicely and just makes the cream blush just like become part of my skin. Like, it just leaves this like flawless finish to everything. So definitely keeping that one. Likewise, I really like this one here from It Cosmetics. Again, I like the slanted cut to it. And although this one is also quite soft, it is very densely packed. I find that it picks up product really nicely, blends things out. Like that brush an awful lot. I also really like this one here from BH. You can see that it's a little bit stained, but I really like it. It's very dense. So this one is great for powder products and cream products. This one is also fantastic from Refer. Again, I just really like the shape on this one, and I get a lot of use out of this. These ones I don't use as often. So here's the thing. It's always great to have a bunch of brushes because then you don't run out of brushes for very long. But then the other side of that is when I do run out of brushes, I have 1.5 million to clean. So I don't tend to use these very often, just for whatever reason. It's not that I like actively dislike them. It's just I have the other ones that I prefer, and those are the ones that I always reach for, and I will use them until I really just can't use any more brushes. Like, they're too dirty to use again. So I'm gonna pass these along. My daughter keeps stealing my brushes, so I'm just going to supply her with some of her own, and that will also help with me not having to wash my own brushes as often. Okay, and then we kind of have like a bit of a catch-all category here. So these are just like a random assortment of brushes. So let's just go through them. This one's like a contour brush, and this is also from that 420 set from Beautylish. This is good for like cream contour, but for powder, because it's so densely packed, I find that it just becomes, it goes from like 0 to 60 very quickly. It can really lay down a lot of product very quickly. And I tend to avoid this because I prefer some of these other brushes that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to say goodbye to this. But then we have these three here, which I tend to use instead of that other one. So again, this one is from the BH Cosmetics Birthstone set. This one is a Refer brush, but it was like a prototype from ages ago, and all the lettering has worn off, so I don't know what it was. And then this is a Refer 04 brush. So this one with the little bit of a slant to it, this one I meant to wash last night, and then I found it on the floor of my room, so it obviously fell out of the holder before I got to wash it, so it's a little dirty, but that's okay. This one, I like using it for contour. I also like using it for highlighter, and because I can use it for two different things, I'm going to keep it. And then likewise, these two are very similar, and I really don't need both of them because they're very similar. They really are, and I don't contour all that often. I used to all the time, but I don't tend to do it very much anymore. So I don't think I need both of these brushes. So which one do I want to keep? You know what, I'm going to keep this one here from Refer. It is a little bit denser, which just kind of helps with the placement of the product, because if I am contouring, I want it to be in a very specific area. This one isn't as tapered as well at the top, so I'm going to pass that one to my daughter, and I am going to keep this one. Okay, this guy here is from Merit, and I don't know what it's called. I think this is the only brush they have, though, I think. And I like it and I dislike it at the same time. So I like the actual brush part of it. I don't like the handle. I have a hard time storing it because if I put it in the holder, it's too short and then I never see it. It ties up space, but all the other brushes crowd around it, so I always forget about it. And then if I just leave it sitting out, it gets knocked over and then I don't use it because I don't see it. So I'm just going to say no to it. I don't need it. It's good for like blending out cream blushes and things like that, but I do have other brushes for it. So let's say goodbye. This little guy here, he's such a weird little brush. It's called The Finger, which is questionable at best. It's from Urban Decay, and I love this brush for picking up like cream bronzer. It just provides really precise application. I will pick that up, draw it where I want it, and then go in with another brush and blend it out. And I, again, use this all the time, so definitely want to hold on to it. And then we've got these three here. So this one is from Shiseido. No clue what brush it is. This one is from Il Maquillage. This is actually like a foundation brush, but I tend to use it for blending out cream bronzer just because it's so dense. And then this is another Real Techniques brush that I've had forever. And again, it shows absolutely no signs of wear. And this is the contour brush, which I don't use for contouring. But I used to use this one for things like the Guerlain Meteorites, these little bally guys. I used to use this brush, but now that I have the Dior brush, you can see you can see the difference. Like I can use a finishing powder in like 3.5 seconds with this, whereas this one I have to keep dipping back in and all that kind of thing. So I just don't tend to use this one anymore. So bye-bye. But I do like having both of these. I don't use this one all that often, but for whatever reason, I feel like I would regret getting rid of it. So I'm not going to. And this one, I actually, like I said, I do like it. I like it for foundation, but I really like it for blending out cream bronzer, so I'm going to hold on to that. So that brings us back to these two. And what am I gonna do? I'm gonna hold on to them. But these are the ones that I am going to be decluttering. And most of those are really not gonna end up exiting my house. They're just gonna move over to the little desk that I've set up for my daughter with all of her makeup stuff. But I feel good about that. Okay, I will be back with eye brushes. Okay, we've got a lot of eye brushes here. One or two. I have like 6 of these What's Up Beauty brushes, and I am not getting rid of any of them. All right, so here are all 6 of the What's Up Beauty brushes. I have talked about these before. What's Up Beauty sent me their palette, their nail polishes, as well as this set of brushes. So very, very grateful for that, because I was not familiar with the brand at all until they reached out and did so. And I actually really enjoy the brushes, and I think that this is a very well curated set, to be honest, in terms of the shapes that they have. So there is a pencil brush, a flat shader brush, which honestly I don't think anybody can have too many flat shader brushes, or at least I can't. And then there are all of these blending brushes here. So they're all in various sizes, fairly similar shapes. This one's a little bit wider, but fairly similar shapes, particularly amongst these 3. But you can see that they are different dimensions. I use these brushes all of the time, and I will be holding on to them. These ones are all from Odin's Eye, and again, these were gifted to me by the brand. But again, I think it's a really intelligently curated set. I think that this gives you everything that you really need to create eye looks. And I've really enjoyed using these brushes, and also they're beautiful. Like the ombre handles, gorgeous. So I'm going to keep all of these. Again, you have a flat shader brush. I friggin' love flat shader brushes. Like, honestly, if Santa brought me nothing but like a box of flat shader brushes, I would be so happy with that, truly. The only one I don't get a ton of use out of is this one, just because it's almost like, if I squeeze it, it looks like a little fan brush. It's not, but you can see it's wider. And so I prefer more like this shape, because I have hooded eyes, so I like a nice rounded brush so that it can just fit right in where I need it to. And this one can be a little bit of overkill for my eye shape. So I'm going to hold on to these 5, but this one I'm going to set aside and give it to my daughter. These ones are easily identifiable as well, so I can pull all of these ones out. At least I think I have all of them. I'm not spending a ton of time going through, so if there's additional, whatever, we'll come across them. These are all from Bristles Beauty, which is a Canadian brand. Not only is it Canadian, it's from Ontario, so love that. But these brushes are fantastic. I really like these. And I like that they have some like more unique kind of shapes that you don't see all the time, like a little tiny shader brush. Love that for precision work, love that for inner corner. And the price point on these brushes is really great as well. So I want to try their face brushes. So that's something that I want to invest in 2022. But for now, these are the ones that I have. I like this brush so much that I actually replaced it or bought a backup of it. It's the E03DM. And you can see this one has been used a million times, so it is relaxing a little bit. And this is how it comes when you first get it. But I've had these brushes, at least this one, for I'd say about a year at this point, and I use them all the time. This one is a little bit stained, but it doesn't impact how it blends things out. But I really like these brushes, so definitely holding on to them. And I've got quite a few brushes here from Delium Tools. So I'll just really quickly walk you through them. 765 small angled shader. The 716 smoky eyeliner. This one is the 773 shading blender, which I would argue is not much of a blending brush, to be honest, but it's a flat shader, and those are my favorite. This one is the 934 Precision Concealer, which I don't use for concealer, but I guess I could. This is the 767 Round Blender. Very, very dense, quite large for being a blending brush, but it's really great for blending out the edges of things. And this one is the 766 angled shadow brush. And then I've got a spoolie. So this is the 733 lash brush, but I would use that for, well, I don't use it for eyebrows, although I could. I like to use this for when I mess up my mascara and jab it on my eyes, let it dry, and then use this to just like scrape it away. This one is the 773 shading blender. I like it so much that I have two of them. This is the 785 tapered blender, which is very similar to the E40 from Sigma. And then finally we have the 776 blending brush. So what I can say is I'm definitely going to be keeping the flat shaders. I just love them because I typically wear shimmer shadows and these just apply them like a dream. So that's why I have such a love on for flat shader brushes. I also really like having brushes of this shape for doing like transition blending, so holding on to that. And inner corner highlighting type brushes. Love having a bunch of these on hand, so I'm not getting rid of that. I'm not getting rid of the spoolie. And I'm going to keep this one as well because it is a bit more precise for blending, but it really gets the job done. These ones, I never use the angled shader brushes, so these ones are an easy pass for me. I don't think I need this one, nor do I think I need this one, but I'm going to set them aside to maybes after recess. The rest of them, I'll bring them back and give them further consideration. This is just another set that I purchased. I got these from Beautylish. They're from the brand called Unit, and it was just a 5-brush set. I think it costs $40 Canadian, somewhere around there. And not my absolute favorite in terms of the shape selection, just because there's really not a lot of variety amongst these three. However, I do get a lot of use out of this one for blending shadows, as well as this one. This one I don't use nearly as much. I just don't like this kind of shape where it's sort of flat but sort of fluffy. I just don't get a lot of use out of that kind of brush. So I'm not going to keep that, but these two I do keep. So I don't know why I'm complaining. There's one brush out of 5 that I'm not in love with, but I feel like one of these could have been, like there could have been a little bit more of a pronounced difference between these two. But for $40 for 5 brushes, not a bad deal. And they've held up nicely to washing. They're nice and soft. Again, I couldn't tell you if they're synthetic or natural. I can't retain that kind of information, but I'm going to keep those 4. And I see 2 Real Techniques brushes here that also get a lot of use. I don't like them for applying eyeshadow, but I like them for applying eyeshadow base. So this one is, oh crap, why do they put the same color lettering on the same color handle? It makes it so hard. That's the Crease Prep brush, and this is the Deluxe Crease brush. My crease is way too deep set to use that in the crease. But like I said, I do use both of these for applying eyeshadow primer. And so I want to hold on to both of them because it's only 2 that I use. And I just go back and forth. And when one gets dirty, then it goes in to get washed. And then I use the other one, and then I just keep cycling through them. So I'm going to keep both of those. This is another Real Techniques brush here. This is the concealer brush. I don't use it for concealer. I don't use it for anything. And I can't remember the last time I did use it, to be honest. So that's an easy pass. Likewise, this guy here from Urban Decay, and I suspect that there's another one floating around in the pile as well, but when we get to that, we will get rid of it as well. I don't like double-ended brushes. I just don't. They're a pain in the ass to store, and I just don't like them, because when they're stuck in with all the other ones, I only see this end, and this isn't the brush that I reach for over the other ones. And then I always forget that there's this little shader part on it, so no. No thank you. This is another little Real Techniques one. This is the, oh crap, Detailer, it's upside down. Oh, sorry, Definer brush, which in theory, sure, because it's so little, but for being so little, it's quite wide, and so it's really not as precise as it thinks it is, and I just never use it, so I'm not going to continue. Okay, I see this one sitting there. This one is from ColourPop. It came with their little like brow wax thing. And I am going to keep this one because I think it's the only other spoolie that I have aside from the other, like the one that this one. But I like how little this guy is. This one, like I said, I just use it for cleaning up. Like it's just a helpful little thing to have on hand. But this one I actually do use in the brow wax, so it's actually kind of sticky and whatnot. So I'm going to keep that because I wouldn't want to use this to clean up mascara. It's basically the very short version of that long story. So this one is in my maybe pile, and it's what is this thing called? The Precision Concealer Brush, which again, I don't use it. I don't need anything precise in my concealer. I just need concealer. So the other brushes I have is perfectly fine. But what I use this kind of shape for is if I'm doing, on a very rare occasion that I do, like a cut crease, or if I want to put like a glitter glue on or something like that, I like to use these kind of brushes. But what I typically use are these ones. I didn't even know I had this brush. I'd completely forgotten, to be perfectly honest. So I never think to use that because I just use these two. And these ones are from Simply Simmons. I got them at Michael's, and I think I paid, I want to say like $1.80 each, something like that. Like they were less than $3 each. And this one is great for applying like glitter glue and stuff like that all over the lid. And then this one is really nice and precise. You can use it as a lip brush. I can use it for inner corner placement or for just patting in a very precise way something on the lid. So I use these ones quite a bit. So I don't think I need this one. I'm going to take this out of Maybe's and just declutter it, but I am going to keep these. We've got another set here. This one is from Morphe, and it's their Mickey Mouse stuff that they just recently released. I had bought a few Morphe items just to basically give the brand another try. I haven't used their stuff in so long, and I just wanted to see, like, are the brushes still like what I remember them to be, which was that they were functional, not amazing, but not bad. So I picked up the set at any rate, and I never got around to filming my Morphe video because life. There it is, because life. So let's just talk about this now. I don't mind these brushes. I really don't. Like, in particular, this guy here. And it's honestly kind of hard to fuck up a fluffy brush, to be perfectly honest. So I do get good use out of these two. I like how small this guy is. I had thought that I would really like this brush because, I don't know if you can really tell, but it's like kind of pointed, like it looks sort of like an arrowhead. And I thought, getting into the inner corner, because my eyes are so deep set, this would be like really good for that, and it's just not fantastic at it, so whatever. And then these like liner brushes, I just typically don't use these anyways. I just find they create far too harsh of a line, and then you spend all this time trying to blend out underneath the eyes, so I'd rather just go in with a precise fluffy brush to begin with, so I don't need this one. And then this one I will keep because it's good for precise blending or even inner corner work, so I'm going to keep these four and then part ways with these two. So here's another one of those like flat liner brushes, and I just don't use them. This one's from Luxie. There's nothing wrong with the brush, it just doesn't fit my purposes, so I don't need to hold on to it. And then these here are all the flat-ish shader brushes that I've managed to unearth out of this pile. The pile's getting smaller. I like that, but there's still a lot going on here. So, not all flat shader brushes are created equally. There's the take home. Some of these are a little bit too fluffy. They're not, like, they're too flat to be blending brushes, but they're too fluffy to be flat shaders. So, ones like this is from BH. I just don't use that shape, so no. And then this guy here, this is from Sigma. It's the Cut Crease E62 brush. It's too wide to be particularly precise, especially for cut crease, as it says that it is. Also, is this the ferrule? Like, it's just twisting around. Oh. Well, it just did that, so there's that. But it's also just not a brush that I ever use, so Also, the fact that it just came off when I don't use it, it's not like it's being washed a million times, that's kind of sus. All right, that's an easy no. And also, there's another Sigma brush that is missing the actual brush. It's got to be in here somewhere. Ah, there it is. This is the E36. Now, I have had this for years, so this one I'm a little bit more inclined to forgive, but I've also been thinking about replacing this one for quite some time because it has been used to death. But it's honestly not my go-to anymore. I have other brushes that I use for the same purpose more than I use this one, so I am okay with saying goodbye to that. Okay, so back to the flatter shaders. This one's actually a silicone brush from Sephora, and it's great for like picking up loose glitter. Now, I don't use loose glitter very often, truly, but when I do, it's nice to know that I have the appropriate tool for it. So I am going to keep this. It just sits at the very back corner of one of those little slots, and then on the annual occasion that I wear glitter, I've got what I need for it. So then there are these guys. Now, this came with, I think, a palette that I just recently purchased, or it was like a free gift with purchase. I don't know. It's from Sigma. It's an E25, but it's like a little mini guy of it, and when I put it in the holder, it just gets lost in the sea of the other ones, and I don't want to leave it out, so this will be a perfect one to give to Aspen. So these ones I love, and in fact, I'm pretty sure I have two of these, but I don't know where the other one is. It's probably like fallen down behind the desk. I'll have to go on a hunt, but this one's from Lottie London. This one is from Volare, Volare. I love Volare brand, like Volare brushes. Love them. Don't hear anybody talking about them. I think they're actually a Canadian brand, but it's like one of those Canadian brands that charges in American prices for some reason. I don't know. At any rate, they are very, very nice brushes, and I do have quite a few of them, so I highly recommend them. And then finally, this one is from Rephr. Again, I highly recommend Rephr brushes as well. They stand up. They are excellent quality. I'm very, very happy with all three of these shaders, so I'm going to hold on to them for sure. These two from the BH set, not as big a fan of. I find, especially this one, it just kind of skims across the top and doesn't really pick product up. This one is a bit better for it, but it's just, I don't know what it is. Like, it's a little too dense or something. I'm not sure, but I would never choose these over, say, this one here from Volare. I would just never choose them over that. So they tend to get ignored. But again, this is another Volare brush who does black lettering on black handles, like frickin' everybody. E06, and then I can see up here, made in Japan. So although I believe it's a Canadian brand, their brushes are made in Japan, for whatever that's worth to you. And then I've got these three. So this one is from Makeup Forever. It is very precise, which I like, but it doesn't pick up product very nicely. Sorry, I was hesitating because I'm like, oh, but what if you do a cut crease? I do a cut crease like 0.7 times each year. Like, I just don't do it. It doesn't work on my eye shape. And this one just tends to frustrate me if I'm trying to use it for actual like shimmer shadows. And I know I have another brush that I prefer for when I do cut crease type stuff. So let's say goodbye to that. And then we've got a Cleona one and one from the Beautylish 420. And honestly, not a huge fan of the Cleona one, but I do like the one from Beautylish. So we'll do that. All right, so next up we've got an assortment of pencil brushes, and they kind of range. Some of them are super duper tiny and precise, and then others not so much. So I want to keep this super duper precise one. This one again is from Volare, and it is the IV01. It is so hard to read these things. Bloody hell, just put white paint on it. It's not that hard. Anyways, it's eensy tiny. I don't use it very often, but because it is there so little, it really does have a bit of a niche place in my brush collection, so I want to hold on to that because none of my other brushes are going to replicate what this can do. And then likewise, I really enjoy this one here from Refer. It is very stained, but that's okay. This is the 03. And this one here from Volaire, the E09. Really like both of those. And I also really like this guy here from MAC. I think it's the 219, I think. But the letters are like scraped off right where I'd need to see it. It's either the 218 or the 219. This one's obviously a little bit bigger. These ones are pointed, but I really like all of those for in the inner corner, or this MAC one is great for blending out harsher lines. And then these ones are all ones that they're okay. I don't hate them. I don't really love them. So I really think I only need to keep one of these. And the one I'm going to keep is this one here from Makeup Forever. This is the 212. So I'm going to hold on to that one. Reasoning being, this one here from Unit has a very short handle, so again it gets lost in the shuffle. This one from BH is just, the brushes are just a little bit, or the bristles are just a little bit too big for my preference. And there's really no, like they're kind of interchangeable, these two. This one again from Beautylish, but this one takes up a lot less space in the container. So they're interchangeable. I'm going to keep the one that takes up less space. Just found another double-ended brush. This one's from Sigma. This one's a little bit harder to say I don't want because I actually really like both of these brushes. This is the E38 and this is the ES4. But at the end of the day, I don't like storing these, especially because I store them in rice. So if I put like the fluffy end in, then I just get rice all jammed up in there, and then I find it just ends up bending the bristles, and it's just a big old pain in the ass. Can we just like not have double-ended brushes anymore? Like, why is that a thing? I don't like them. But I'm going to give it to Aspen. I have enough brushes. I don't need to be like hemming and hawing over this. I'm going to give it to my daughter because this one is very new. And even though she's 9 years old, like my kid's 9, but she and her friends love playing with makeup. So giving her her own little arsenal of brushes that are actually good brushes, I just think sets her off on the right step. And besides, she's using like my cast-off Natasha Denona palettes, so she may as well have good brushes to go along with it. Okay, so circling back to the cut crease brush from Sigma, which is still falling off the handle. I see a difference. Do you see a difference? Like, this is just such a big beast. It's super not precise at all. This one is actually called a wing liner brush, and this one is from Quo Beauty, a Canadian brand sold at Shoppers Drug Mart. And I love this one. I like to use this one if I do like a reverse cat eye. It could be used for gel liner. It can be used for cut crease, anything like that. Is just so precise, so thin. Definitely keeping that. And then somehow I have 5 liner brushes. I have no idea why in the hell I have so many liner brushes when I almost never use gel liner, like ever. So why did I buy all these? So this one's from Real Techniques and it's a silicone tip. So, I mean, in theory, that's great because you can just like wipe it off and then it's easy cleaning, which would be great if I use gel liner every day, but I don't. So, and besides, it's also like pretty flimsy. So I'm just, no. This, I don't even know who you're from. Some purple thing. Blink? What the hell is Blink? What the hell is Blink? I don't, okay. Moving on to the E06 from Sigma. This is the winged liner brush, and I've had it for a long time, and the bristles show that. It's all very splayed, and it would never be precise, no matter what I did to it. So we'll pass that away. So that brings us down to these two. This one is from Suva Beauty. It's the 610, and this one is Pro 6E. Brand unknown. No clue. Brand, can you just label your shit, please? It really would make my life a lot easier if you would. Anyways, let's see. I want to keep one because I feel like it's a good idea to have a liner brush on the off chance I decide to use one. Do I want a bent one or a straight one? I honest to God, don't think it matters, to be honest. Let's keep the straight one, if only because it's easier to store. So, like I said, this isn't really an eye brush. This, again, is from Sigma, and it's the Highlight Diffuser Brush, the E71. I don't use it. I used to, but I don't anymore. Especially because I have this guy now from Smashbox, and I like this a lot more. This is just too small for highlighting, and if I want to diffuse, then I'm just going to use this guy. So I don't need that. Nope, 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 nope. You, nope. Alright, so these are my fluffies. My fluffy brushes. I shouldn't say my fluffies. That reminds me of my mother when I was a kid. She never called toots toots. They were always fluffies. So I basically just said, these are my farts. Okay, moving on. Sorry. We're getting sidetracked here. So we've got a Zoeva brush, BH Cosmetics, 2 from BK Beauty. This is the 202, and this is the 201. This one, again, I believe was a prototype from Refer, and there's no lettering on it at all. This is the E35 from Sigma. Got another Cleona Cosmetics brush here. This, I believe, is a Volair. Yes, it is. This is the Volair E03, and then another one from the Beautylish 420. So I use these kind of brushes all the time. I almost always start off with a transition shade, and these are the kind of brushes that I reach for that. Particularly this one, and where's the Sigma one? Particularly these two. They get a lot of use in my collection. I also use this one quite frequently, as well as the other one from BK Beauty. And then we're left with these guys. I do use this one quite a bit from BH Cosmetics, and this one here from Volair. I'm telling you, I love Volair brushes. And this one is quite splayed now from Refer. This was from like back when they were first launching, I think. So I don't tend to use this one as much anymore. And I don't really use this one from Cleona either. No, I don't, but I do use this one here. So we're going to keep these three. Okay. These ones are all kind of like flat, fluffy hybrids. I'm not entirely sure what to say about these. This one from BH, I definitely don't use that shape. It's just not a shape that I ever reach for. This one I do use quite a bit. This one is from MAC. It's the 217. And although it's like flat, it is still fluffy enough to be a blendy kind of brush, along with this one here. They're very, very similar. This one is the E25 from Sigma, the full-length handle. They're very similar, and I do like these for running shadow through the crease. I find that this just fits in perfectly with my eye shape, so I'm going to keep both of those. Likewise, this one here from Refer, the 01. It's also fat enough that it can be really good for blending out other shadows and like creating a nice seamless blend. This is another E25, so it's stained as hell, but it's still completely functional, and I'm going to keep that. And then this one also from Sigma is the E27, the detail blending. So if I bring back the E25, see, they're similar kind of shape, but the E27 is a lot more precise and a lot like narrower. But again, I have very hooded eyes, and this is perfect for getting right into the crease and especially blending out shadows that I have on the lid versus shadows that I have as like a transition sort of shade. So I definitely want to keep that. This one, however, gets no use for me anymore. This one from Real Techniques. It is the base shadow brush, and I just don't use it. Again, this is just another little like nubby little guy that I don't like storing these kind of brushes. This came in the Mini Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona. It's a perfectly serviceable brush, but it's just practically speaking, a pain in my ass. I don't need to be frustrated trying to store things. And that leaves us with these two from Real Techniques. So this one here is the detailer brush, and this one is the shading brush. Again, both of which I've had for absolutely years. I have enough pencil brushes and whatnot that I don't feel I need this one anymore, and I only ever reach for this when all of my pencil brushes are dirty. And this one, I don't use it very often, but I do like to have it on hand because it is like so densely packed that it's really great for blending things out, especially under the lower lash line. So I want to hold on to that. Okay, so this is the last of them to go through, and in looking at it, I can see there are quite a few of similar design. So let's just bring those guys out first. So these are all sort of like fluffy pencil brushes, if you, I don't know what you would describe these as, but these are some of my go-tos. Like, this shape is just perfect for me. So I use these kind of brushes for blending shadows out under the lower lash line, for doing the outer corner. They're great for blending throughout the crease on me. You could even use them on the inner corner if you wanted. Like, I use these all the time. So really quickly, what we've got here, this one is the MAC 221. This is a Sigma E42 Precision Firm Blender. A Sigma E33 Detail Diffused Crease. This one is the Wayne Goss number 19. Oh, okay, I like Wayne Goss stuff. I do. Like, I like his shadows. Not super impressed with the brush, if I'm being perfectly honest. It is good for the purposes that I've already said about these, but just in terms of how it's held up after being washed a few times, I'm not super wild on that because it's just starting to splay a little bit. So just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, this one here is from Inglot. It is the 10S. This is a Refer number 13. We've got, who are you? A Volair DL03. Another MAC 221, and then a Volair E30, or sorry, what is it? E07. So, the only one of these that I don't really like all that much is the Inglot one, and I feel really bad about that because Barry bought that for me for Christmas, and I think he ordered it from Poland. Like, he could not find this brush anywhere, and he hunted it down and sourced it out, and I just find it a bit scratchy, especially under the lower lash line. So this is one that, like, I only use it as a lane of last resort. Like, I go through all of these first, and then I'll use this one. So I'm gonna let that go. And despite what I said about the Wayne Goss one, I mean, I use it for blending, so the fact that it's a little bit splayed is fine, because I can use that for, like, crease blending and things like that. But I suspect, just looking at it, that it's really not going to hold up for too much longer. But I'm going to keep all these because, like I said, I use them all the time. So that leaves us with these here. So this one is from Wet n Wild, and I don't know what the number on it is, and I don't love it. Like, it just, I don't know the material in these bristles or just what it is. It doesn't tend to blend shadows to my liking. I do like the nice little design element of, like if you have grip issues or anything like that, I really think that's just a thoughtful little detail. But overall, I'm just not wild on the brush itself. This one here is from Chikuhodo, I believe, and it is the GSN 10. And if I have mild complaints about the Wayne Goss, this one is that much more offensive to me because it started splaying after the very first wash. Now, it's workable because, again, it's for blending, so I don't mind that it's fluffier, but it certainly is a lot fluffier now than it was when I originally got it, and that kind of bothers me, and it turns me off from purchasing more of their brushes, so I'm going to keep it, but I'm not going to buy more from them. Okay, and then these four here kind of hold the same purpose for me. So I like to use these just as blending brushes. So not necessarily for applying And you know what? I'll bring in the only one that's sitting in the maybe. I thought there was going to be a lot more, but we're doing pretty good here. These ones I don't really apply shadow with. I just like to blend out where shadows meet on my eyes with these. So I don't think I need all of these. This one I'm going to keep from BK Beauty. This is the 207. I like how precise it is, so I can do a lot of good like detail stuff with this. So I want to keep that one. This guy is overkill though. This is that Delium one, the 767. I am going to keep these three, but I am going to let this one go. You can see how much bigger it is. And so while it's great for blending stuff out, like you can't get any sort of precision out of that. So I don't need that in my life. And then lastly is this little guy here. This is from AOA Studio, which I got through Shop Miss A, and it's the E118. And it's basically a little piece of foam, and it's just like a little foam blendy outy thing. I don't use it very often. What I like using it for is if I use a pencil eyeliner, and then I can just smudge it out without having to use my finger and get makeup all over my fingers and mess up the eyeshadows. It's really great for that. So although I don't use it very often, I do like to have it on hand because I don't have anything else like it. So I'm going to keep that. Okay, so these are the brushes that I have decluttered. I feel awesome about that. Honestly, I did not know how many I was going to declutter, and I feel very good about this. I'm just going to count them really quickly, and then I will come back and share that information with you. All right, we're back. There are 48 brushes in here. So that far surpasses what I thought I was going to get rid of, and I'm quite happy with that. To put that into some reference for you, when we started, I had 160 brushes. So let's do the math on that, because I cannot do that kind of math in my head. Let's see here. If we have, what did I say, 48 brushes, and we started with 160, that is 30% of my brushes that I am going to be decluttering / rehoming. And I feel really good about that because it is so much easier to see exactly what I have. All right, I am not going to do an on-camera goodbye. I am just going to do my outro here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this and all of my declutter stuff. It's actually really helpful for me to sit down and talk it out like that rather than just looking at the brushes and hemming and hawing that way, because then I really like hear my reasoning myself and have to put my mind to it. So this is actually a very, very helpful process for me. But thank you for joining me on this decluttering journey. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, please consider doing so. And in the meantime, I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.